Hello, I'm Thomas Hare, Chief Content Officer of the Performance-Driven Marketing Institute, a not-for-profit trade association that serves companies in the performance and direct-to-consumer marketing world. Welcome to the latest episode of Take 20, created by the PDMI's Brand Response Council. These 20-ish minute live conversations featuring leaders of the performance marketing world, speaking about the hottest topics in the industry, are scheduled twice a month. Before we get to today's conversation, a quick housekeeping note. We'll be addressing any questions from the audience at the end of today's session, but you don't have to wait to ask them. Utilize the questions tab on your control panel to type and send your question in. We'll be collecting them and we'll try to get to as many as possible in the final moments of the episode. Today, we host the second in a quarterly series on performance marketing's hottest categories, featuring a great panel of travel and hospitality marketing experts. No matter which part of the travel puzzle you're talking about, hotels, resorts, airlines, review sites, and more, brands have access to a wealth of data on consumers. How are they activating this intelligence in their performance marketing efforts? And how can you expect brands to connect with a committed and knowledgeable consumer base to drive better results? Our Take 20 host and chair of the PDMI's Brand Response Council is Modern Postcard's Chris Foster. Chris is here as always, and he welcomes LiveRamp's Tara Franceschini and Tripadvisor's Ian Kimball. Unfortunately, Fareportal's Kathy Moore was called away unexpectedly, is unable to join us, so we'll see you on another one soon, Kathy. We appreciate you taking part in past events. Chris, team, take it away.
Fantastic. Tara and Ian, welcome into episode 102 for Take 20. Fantastic episode. And this is a really interesting category. So COVID's kind of in the rearview mirror, we can say. And then the travel and the hospitality sector is really getting some payback attention that it's due. You've got new apps, of course, there's VRBO, there's Airbnb, there's a plethora of personal travel blogs, TikTok influencers, Instagram influencers, and now it's even some travel fast channels that are just specifically in the travel space. All of this and more coalescing to make this industry one of the most exciting ones in the entire performance marketing ecosystem. Data is going to drive greater precision with messaging and marketing. And the options for consumers are going to continue to expand, whether it's small weekend getaways, big long trips, whether it's exotic travel, whether it's adventure travel. It's all creating more niches and more opportunities for the consumer. So we're going to hop on the bus, the plane, the train, or the automobile. We're going to get to this hospitality field of gold as our destination. And Tara, we are going to start with you. What are some of the new and most exciting advances in data connectivity that's fueling a lot of this sector?
Yeah, well, I want to start off with data collaboration as kind of a new advancement. And to kind of set the stage, data collaboration is the secure sharing of data, both internally and externally, with partners within the travel ecosystem and other verticals. With data collaboration, brands can access additional data sets from partners and providers, and then, of course, leverage that very unique and rich first-party data that a lot of these travel companies are sitting on. A critical first step here in this advancement is people-based identity. This helps best maximize the usage of this first-party data and enables this best results. So identity helps engage and provide more personalized marketing that taps into the wealth of information they have about their customers. And this enables them to reach the customers wherever they're spending their time. So it's advancements in data collaboration and identity that kind of are helping connect the dots, resolve the identities, and create a seamless travel experience, which is everything. And making that possible is these advancements in tech.
That's awesome. So I've got a question for you on how that works as a practical use case. So let's say you have hikers that are going to Moab or Zion, and you have data opportunities for these people purchasing an REI or subscribe to travel or click on different links or are looking at travel packages. Is this now the type of data that you're talking about where it helps either shoes or hiking boots or someone like REI reconnect with some of these consumers in a really targeted way?
Exactly. This data helps REI find their consumers, those that are planning trips, and what they need for those trips, and connect, resolve their identity through all the digital touch points that they will see and have, and help them, develop a seamless travel experience as they try to, get everything they need for their trip, book their hotel, book their airline, everything along the way, data and data connectivity and data collaboration are helping provide an experience that's personalized, customized, and really helping create a seamless event for them.
I love it. You know, it's interesting too. You speak about some of these collaborations and the connectivity. You could imagine a situation where you have REI, you have Zion as the destination property, but then you also have the Tourism Bureau of St. George, Utah, restaurants in St. George, some attractions that are there, kind of connecting to make sure that a consumer has all the data and sees all the advertisements and sees all the promotion and the offers that are relevant to them for that experience. Is that kind of what we're thinking about?
Exactly. So this data collaboration happens within travel to travel partners, and then also non-endemic partners, exactly like restaurants within an area can tap into maybe who booked a flight to that area and target that person, who bought hiking boots and target that person. So continually working to find the right data to target that specific segment and really personalize the experience. Because if I'm going on vacation, I want ads that are served to me. You know, if I want to go to Jamaica, I want to know where what's available based on what I like to do.
I love it. You know, I think that the possibilities are endless, especially with you know, adventure travel, activity travel. And when people go to these places, they absolutely write about all of this stuff. They write about the restaurants, they write about the experience, they write about the hotels. And Ian, that's really what TripAdvisor helps other travelers see is they have, you know, they offer what travel consumers are looking for, the advice from real people and the advice from the TripAdvisor experts. So how has your approach evolved to some of these new apps and these new marketing platforms and data connectivity?
Yeah, great question, Chris, and yeah, happy to be here. Hello, everyone. Yeah, TripAdvisor has a long history, as we know, right? We're going to be celebrating our 25th anniversary next year. Within, I know, it's pretty remarkable. But really, those long form reviews, you know, people who have been there first and travel recommendations and advice are certainly key. So really we've embraced that, right? So think about like looking back on those 25 years and we have over 1 billion reviews on site, right? So that is an extremely deep and rich area of data for us, right? So how we leverage that, how we leverage you know, those insights, those predictive models, and partnering, you know, from a collaborative space with partners from a data side is really kind of how we're leaned in there. I think from overall, you know, technology side of things, we've seen over the past year that we've leaned in extremely heavily with AI, much like a lot of the industry. So we're kind of evolving that too, right? So our AI is coming informed in different ways. One of them, of course, is through our trip planning tools. So kind of coming in there and having that recommendation come back at you based on all those data of reviews to recommend a 3-day, a 5-day type of itinerary and where that you're going to not miss out on from a restaurant, from an experience, from a hotel accommodation, and things like that. And also just reviews in general. We've kind of developed our own AI review summaries that you see at some of our key hotels on our site. So really a huge embrace of data and really the possibilities of where that goes. And certainly as we think about performance marketing, both on, you know, as we think about it, like on our, you know, our B2B or B2C side, right? We're doing that every day through active SEO engagement, active prospecting, how we're retaining you, CRM and that sort of thing. And really taking that activity and that know-how and bringing that into a collaboration space with partners is really a little bit of our next phase too, as we think about things on a B2B and how we work with our key partners really across travel and hospitality. How do we make, you know, our combined data sets work harder and more efficient and more strategic for us together as we plan out connecting with our travelers in a really meaningful way, even beyond TripAdvisor, right? Kind of leveraging that data across different social channels, CTV, you know, open web, TikTok. Really, the possibilities are endless in kind of how we are connecting with our partners and helping them drive a more connection with audience. But really, I guess it's just a full embrace of what we've had built for the past 25 years and where we're going for the next 25 years.
I love it, Ian. And what's interesting is that, 25 years ago, the technology was different. The social channels weren't available, but you built up this, almost like this library of content, right? And of all of this stuff. And, it's interesting because you could have had, worker bees people combing through reviews, trying to find, key phrases and key items, but AI just makes that more possible. And that's a wonderful use case of using AI to scrub through all the 1 billion reviews to pull out the things that are most meaningful or most frequently mentioned with some locations. And I really like that idea of looking at how you turn the opportunities into the B2B partnerships. I love that. And I guess one question then that I would have for you, Tara, is the B2B connectivity going to the consumers. How does that play out in the actual promotions, either like on TikTok or on Instagram? Are brands able to use that data to thread into their message or their little 30-second or 60-second videos, and they can reference some of those touch points?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you use identity, you connect all the identities across all the digital touch points, and then you can activate the messaging throughout to any of the platforms that you kind of are wanting to. So that's exactly why you need that identity, so you're reaching the right person. And then, even through a clean room, when you collaborate and you need it for the privacy enhancing technology and all that stuff, share that data, you're able to activate outside once you share that data to that specific audience that you want to based on that data. And you're able to make those connections within the clean room based on that privacy enhancing technology and stuff.
Oh, I like that. So Ian, I guess a question that I would have for you is you started to talk about understanding, trip planning maybe for 3 or 5 day excursions, and users can get information back. Are you looking or seeing within the data set a different consideration set for younger travelers versus older travelers? Is there a skew? Is there a pattern? Are there trends that you can see, and then of course report back to other various brands and partners from a data side as to how to pitch to these generations?
Yeah, it's a great question, and as we know, travel's a fluid overall. But I think there's big trends that really connect, and I think kind of transcend demographics. Clearly, we're seeing a huge importance of experiences kind of raised to the top of that sort. People are wanting to select destinations. They want to select accommodations based on what they can do in market, right? So they want to make sure that they are going to the fabulous mountaintop to get their picture, being on the beach, and that's really kind of elevated that. So I think that in general is a broad term. We're seeing that become particularly more and more important in travel in general. In terms of like usage and consumption, I think video continues to be a huge growth area, particularly on the millennial and Gen Z, very dialed into social media for sure. And that's kind of how we are able to leverage, kind of going back to our data collaboration piece, is to leverage that great aspect of Tripadvisor, for example, collaborating with partners and then reaching those users on different devices as they're kind of planning through their different journeys, right? And I think that's from our perspective, we look at our partnerships with our advertisers and partners really on a holistic level, and really with that data in that audience is that key connective tissue across those different tactics and solutions. So I think experience is first and foremost. I think media and data consumption secondly, and I think we saw earlier on in the year a couple of really interesting trends. Clearly, like the international trend, where people were focused on kind of getting back out there and prioritizing international travel. And then also we saw, got to give her due, the Taylor Swift effect, really driving a really impactful
That's interesting
travel behavior as she completed her Eras tour.
And I also want
to. Go ahead, Tara.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just wanted to note that, like, even just the use of first-party data, you can determine real answers. You can go a level deeper into like actual customer preferences, preferred destinations, travel dates, accommodation types, behavior patterns, like market trends, popular destinations, changes in consumer preferences. So I feel like you can even go a layer deeper than, that age, or for customer segmentation, when you lean on this like rich, unique first party data that's available in the travel sector. It's what makes this industry so like different, I think, is the unique data and those unique attributes that even go a layer deeper.
I was going to ask you about that, and you got there first. I do want to talk about the Taylor Swift Eras effect and other stuff. But before I do that, Tara, oftentimes marketers are looking at demographic or audience profiles or segments. But you just mentioned something where you actually go deeper into the actual personalization based on the individual choices. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, when you're leveraging identity to create this unified view of a consumer or a traveler, this means you connect everything back to this identity and better understand every touch point in the journey. So it's these demographics that you're going to be able to see and use and segment, which go deeper than age. And just with my media background and everything, I like to go deeper than age and gender, and that's why I find so unique about like this sector. Then within the diverse groupings within the industry. So if you think about it, it's hotel to Uber to, or I'm sorry, it's flight to the ride app to Uber, and to the hotel. So each one of these groupings has so much demographic data about the person, like stitching it together. That's where like the unbelievable potential comes.
Oh, I like that. I think that's fascinating, because then the messages and the advertising becomes much more personal. You could imagine a TikTok or Instagram video that is very specific to that consumer, and whether that museum is a modern art museum or a classic art museum, or if the restaurant is a cool little boutique, or if it's a fine dining experience, right? You can really understand that better. So Ian, the Taylor Swift effect, the Eras Tour effect, I think that is such an interesting new concept, where you have these tours or these destinations, or more importantly, it's kind of like these social fabric moments, right? These shared experiences moments that people can use for travel. Do you see that as something even more, that now that some folks have experienced that with a Taylor Swift tour, that it's something they'll do either for sporting events, or I'll give you a good example. My daughter loves EDM, electronic dance music, and when she and her friends went to Europe last summer, her travel consideration was the very large, huge international EDM festival that they kind of orbited around. Do you see this happening more and more?
Yeah, I feel like you're describing the experiences trend, right? So you mentioned your daughter; she's going to that's driving her travel. So we talk a lot about that in terms of like travel patterns, right? And that's really a lot of how we're positioning our solutions out with marketers too, right? So you mentioned music a couple times, right? Sports is another key driver, right? NFL. NCAA football, we all know that, college football, culinary, a huge passion point as well, and then arts and culture, right? So as we kind of think through how that and wellness, I don't want to diss wellness at all, but these are travel motivators. We're seeing this kind of flip the switch, right? Flip the script a little bit, just in terms of what's motivating travelers to go, how they're traveling, what they're prioritizing, where they're going. To answer your question is really based on that experience level, passion level, as opposed to other travel reasons in years prior. But I think the Taylor Swift example is a great example of that, right? Yeah. I mean, there's many different articles talking about many different countries' GDP. Around how impactful that tour was, which is remarkable, and kudos to her for doing it, because it is remarkable, and it's continued to transcend our business for sure.
Yeah, she's an economic stimulator. I love it. But I love that concept, whether it's Boston Marathon, whether it's the Ragnar race, Spartan races, you have these experiences. That's fantastic. We are moving so quickly. So I guess maybe I've got one more question for you guys. It's all we have time for. The Viking cruises lead with kind of unpack once as a benefit for the older traveler. The Taylor Swift you talked about is kind of this destination. As you look ahead into 2025, beyond the data, beyond some of the trends, what's a pearl of wisdom that you want to drop to the performance audience about when they consider travel and using travel in the travel space to place some budget? Tara, I'll start with you.
Well, I think thinking about the available first-party data that you can leverage in terms of the different attributes that this data has, the demographic attributes, and how this can really help drive to your right audience. I think about that. The other thing I want to talk about is maybe travel media networks. Taking a look into that, travel is emerging as a prominent vertical in commerce media. I think eMarketer is saying that ad spend will exceed $2 billion in 2024. So just keeping that in mind as well. And another thing to think about is, where are the high traffic days? I know that there is a new thing called Travel Tuesday. I think it's been around for 2 or 3 years. It's the first time I heard it in a real conversation with my sister-in-law, who's waiting to book her honeymoon on 12/4. So just thinking about these new trends up and coming in the travel sector. The travel sector is not up and coming, but the data they have and how to use it and leverage it is. So just keep that top of mind.
Wonderful. Ian?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about passions already, so I don't need to really reiterate that. But from a marketing side of things, it's really personalization, right? We're kind of past that kind of broad spray and pray approach out there. People want personalized messages, they want personalized offers, they want everything personal for them, right? So I think that'll continue to be, and that doubles down on some of that data collaboration, that data connection, obviously, to make it more meaningful, for those users. So I definitely see that continue to be a big piece of strategies for next year. Passions, personalization, and I think from our side of things, right? It's trust. It's a trusted, people who've been there before, leveraging reviews, leveraging that level of content to really assist marketers to reinforce their messaging and reinforce their brands out in the marketplace.
Wonderful. I love it. I know that this happens all the time with our Take 20s. We start the conversation and you look at your watch and the conversation's over. So it's well past the hour on Take 20. Tom, do we have questions from the audience?
Yeah, there are a couple here that we'll pop to. I think obviously with the heavy talk about data early on, one question that popped in pretty quickly: what are your top concerns when you think about data privacy and data privacy regulation in this sphere?
Maybe Ian, you could take that, because I don't have concerns because we have this great architecture, but I can kind of.
Ian, thoughts, or are you?
Just in terms of, data privacy. I think that's the key to it all, right? So I think having that infrastructure, having partnerships in place, doing it the right way, whether you're kind of implementing a CDP, whether you're implementing a clean room, doing it the right way is critically important. I think as we take those measures, of course, that is inherently safe in how we're managing that. So I think as long as we're leveraging the tools and the tool sets available to us as marketers in a meaningful way, there's really no deep concerns on that from PII and that level of data.
And coming from LiveRamp, we've been in this business a long time. We are leaders in, privacy and following all the regulations. And, you put your trust in us, and we are there to follow the regulations and make sure everything is privacy safe. And that is, why we do have a clean room where things can be done in a safe and secure manner.
Great. Any differences in how different aspects of the travel journey, thinking hotels, short-term rentals like Airbnb, airlines, car rental, any differences in how they try to mine their data and then activate, or is it pretty similar?
Yeah. Go ahead, Tara.
No, take it, please. Take it.
Yeah, I think in that example, everyone's trying to connect their data set to another data set, right? To kind of have that full holistic view of the journey. And Tara did a nice job kind of paraphrasing that, right? From, we look at things from, inspiration to awareness to consideration to planning to booking to on trip to reviews, right? So I think like as we always talk to marketers, yes, hey, we work with a lot of car rental companies who don't necessarily have the perspective of what's going on with flights, right? And kind of those key indicators. So what we're intending to do is to help, tell that holistic story, help connect those, disassociated data sets to really make a pretty powerful, full-fledged, holistic circle for those marketers to do so. So I think it's more along the lines of tapping what they have and then finding more, or they can make connective, predictive applications.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Each one of these kind of groupings have their loyalty programs, but they do have a lot of data. And I think it's finding out where the gaps are to connect it and create that seamless experience.
Great. I'm going to jump back in here, and I'm going to let you know that at age 52, in the summer of 2023, I was a Taylor Swift traveler.
That's awesome.
We actually had gotten tickets for the show in LA, and we go out to LA every summer to see my family. And once we got the tickets in late 2022, we built our summer trip around that concert date. So there you go, Taylor Swift. Bring everyone together. I know people. I know people who went to London and Miami and Paris and whatever to see her. So it's like its own like little international economy moving around. So thank you all. Thank you, Tara. Thank you, Ian. Appreciate you being here. We look forward to hopefully having you back on another episode of Take 20 or at another PDMI event soon. And Chris, again, thank you for your excellent job in hosting. We appreciate it. Due to the upcoming Thanksgiving holiday, our next Take 20 episode will actually take place next Wednesday, just a week from today, Wednesday, November 20th. And we'll feature media experts looking back on how this year's election media spend affected the performance marketing space and what marketers and their agencies can learn from it. Please visit thepdmi.com/take-20 to register for the webinar and check out the upcoming schedule. Finally, online registration for PDMI East, the association's spring 2025 event at Eden Rock Miami Beach, is open. And through November 29th, we have an early bird special on badges, $295 for PDMI members, $495 for non-members. That's a $100 discount for our usual online pre-reg. Get your badge and you'll be able to book your room into the Eden Rock, which right now our prices are about $300 less per night than what you can find on their website, which is amazing. Visit thepdmi.com/PDMI-East. Get your badge and your hotel room now. Thank you all again for being here.
You know what you could do? You could actually build a travel experience out of the PDMI to Miami. Just saying.
Lots of people do. Lots of people do.
There's a thing called Tripadvisor. You can find all the really cool restaurants in Miami.
So visit thepdmi.com/PDMI-East to get your badge and your hotel room, maybe for an extended stay. Now, thank you all for checking out the Take 20. We'll see you soon. Be well. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.